All right, we are talking about albumin, the protein, the blood protein albumin. Really significant, but very under-recognized. If you've had a liver test done, if you've had a liver panel done, you've certainly seen albumin on the liver panel. Albumin is a major marker for health, for lack of health, for early demise, for degenerative diseases, for liver problems, for circulatory problems. It truly is it's the most important of our blood proteins, and it very likely could be, well, it's at least one of the most important proteins in the body, in the animal kingdom in general, and as it turns out, even in plants and vegetables, as we'll talk about here in a little bit. Albumin is a protein that's found in blood. It attracts water. It acts as a carrier. Drug companies are looking at albumin as a delivery system for delivering drugs to molecules. And albumin also is a protection molecule, protects blood vessels. It has antioxidant properties. But like all proteins, and especially like all active proteins, blood proteins and enzymes and such, albumin has a fragile nature. It's especially fragile and sensitive to the effects of sugar. That means diabetics are especially prone to problems with albumin, as if diabetics didn't have enough problems. And I'm not just talking about full-blown diabetics, but people who are beginning to experience changes in how the body handles sugar are at risk for albumin issues. Diabetes is a progressive disease. You know, a lot of folks will say, I had my blood sugar tested and the doctor says I'm not a diabetic. But you have all the signs of being a diabetic, but the doctor says I'm not a diabetic. That's because diabetes and blood sugar issues are progressively, they deteriorate progressively. It's a progressive degenerative kind of condition. So you may not have full-blown diabetes, but you may be on the road to diabetes. You may be dysglycemic or pre-diabetes. Dysglycemia simply means poor blood sugar control, and just because you don't have full-blown diabetes doesn't mean you're not beginning to experience some of the signs of poor blood sugar control. As we said yesterday, this presents the body with two problems, with a double whammy. Elevations in insulin, first of all, can cause growths and fibroids and circulatory problems. Elevations in insulin follow long-term chronic elevations in blood sugar. As our blood sugar climbs, insulin also climbs. Insulin levels also climb. And insulin has its own spectrum of problems aside from elevated blood sugar, including growths and fibroids, circulatory problems. Feminization in men can be associated with elevations in insulin, even if your doctor didn't decree that you're a diabetic. Feminization in men and excess feminization in women. Excess estrogen action, deficiencies in testosterone action, sexual problems, impotence, infertility. These are all things that can follow insulin resistance, even if you're not a full-blown diabetic. Infertility, low libido, muscle wasting, anxiety, insomnia, accumulation of fat, especially in the belly, or if you're for women, the hips and the thighs. All of these are signs that the body is beginning to become resistant to insulin. And as we said yesterday, once insulin resistance kicks in, it's a short hop to testosterone resistance, because testosterone and insulin have a lot of similarities. And that means excess estrogen. Insulin resistance is a big mess, and that's above and beyond the second problem, which is also a big mess, and that is chronically elevated blood sugar. This relationship between insulin and sugar is very interesting. If you think of a cell as a garage, and you picture a garage door on the outside part of a cell, insulin will function as the garage door opener. In this model, sugar would be your car. When your car comes to the garage, you hit your garage door opener, the garage door opens up, and your car goes in the garage, right? Well, in the cell version of a garage and a garage door opener in a car is sugar is the car. Sugar, your car, comes to the cell, which represents the garage, and then the garage door opener is insulin. Insulin functions like a garage door opener. Boom, the button gets pressed. The garage door on the outside part of a cell opens up and sugar goes in, just like your car goes into a garage. So insulin's the garage door opener, sugar's the car, and the garage would be represented by the cell. However, over time, lots of insulin, lots of garage door opening, eventually our garage door opener isn't going to work as well. The cell isn't going to listen to the garage door opener. The cell isn't going to listen to insulin, and that means cars are going to start to pile up outside the garage. Cars are sugar. That means sugar is going to start to pile up outside the cells, and that, my friends, is a huge, huge problem above and beyond the problem associated with excess insulin. Excess insulin is a problem. Excess sugar is a problem. If the garage door opener doesn't work, the insulin doesn't work, the cars start to pile up outside the cell, the sugar starts to pile up outside the cell, big problems result. And these cars are not just sugar from sweets. They could be sugar from bread. It could be sugar from potatoes. It could be sugar from rice. It doesn't have to even taste sweet. It's just a function of its chemical structure. Sugar, whether it's sweet or not, just by the function of its chemical structure, is highly flammable, highly explosive, as anyone who's ever had a sugar burn can tell you. And as this sugar starts to pile up, explosions outside the cell start to increase, and that is a really big problem. These explosions, as we've said before, are especially likely to react with protein. Protein is also high energy, and the combination of sugar and protein forms something called advanced glycated end products, which are a leading cause of aging. This is especially true about tiny blood vessels in the eyes or in the lower extremities. And of course, it's especially true about proteins that are floating around in the blood. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. You are listening to The Bright Side on the Genesis Communication Network. We'll be back right after this. Don't go away.
America's #1 source for independent talk radio for over a decade. We are the GCN Radio Network.
On the bright side, welcome back, folks. We got the pleasure today of talking to Ted Anderson, president of GCN. Ted has set something up for food donations to the Philippines, and I want Ted to tell us all about it. Greetings. Good morning, Ted. How you doing, buddy?
I am doing good, boy. I tell you, it is one of those things that just came along, and I am so happy that it's like some things come into place when they're supposed to come into place. I mean, the Philippines obviously is a disaster that nobody would have liked to have seen. We have 4 million people out there that have been displaced from their homes. Many of them are children, starving to death. I mean,
starving to death, yeah.
I mean, it's just horrible. Yeah. So Longevity just happened to pick up a food company called Go Foods, and they have the foods storable, dried out, in mylar pouches, stored in nitrogen, so oxygen can't damage the food, and it's good for like 25 years. And what I did is I called Steve Wallach. I didn't call him. I emailed him, and I emailed the big honchos over at Longevity, and I said, look, we have food that can be delivered to these people. We have to do this. And awesome. And they have a foundation already set up to do this type of work. Sunshine over there took care of it, and it's just awesome. So what you have is you have a button on Brightside Ben. If people just go to Brightside Ben, they can take a look in the upper right-hand side of the page. It just says Help Longevity Feed the Philippines. And it's really a matter of just clicking on that button, and you can see the different options here. I mean, you can feed a family for $16.20, family of 4. And you're not just sending a bowl of rice over there. You're sending real, good food to them, and whey protein milk and so on and so forth. It's very good. You can feed a family of 4 for an entire week for $61.40. I know I can't do that in my budget.
Wow. And it's tasty food too.
It's
from
good
what
stuff.
I hear. Have you had it yet? I haven't. I talked to Dr. Wallach last week, and he was telling me that it tastes amazing.
Yeah, actually, it is very good, and I've had it, and I just know because Steve Shank is the originator of Go Foods. It came out of eFoods Direct, and I've tasted his food, and I've tasted this stuff. It's fantastic. And so we're going to send over some really good food. The problem is we only have 6 days left to get it out there.
Okay. All right. So if people click on that Help Now link on the upper right hand side of the page at brightsideben.com, what's going to happen?
Well, it'll just automatically pop up a shopping cart, and they can decide what they want to buy. They can buy as little as they want. They can buy as much as they want. And just, plus also you're joining the Brightside Ben team when you do this. And if you want to, you can even just call the phone team, which I believe is 855-660-4261, isn't it?
Yep. No, that's my call-in, 866-735-2470.
Okay.
866-735-2470. So if they call the phone team, they tell them they want to do level 1 or level 2 or whatever level they want to do, level 3, level 4. There's 5 different levels that they can do. Then, and if they're not a member of the Brightside Ben team, they will be just by doing this.
Yeah, they just automatically become a preferred customer if they'd like to get involved with the business, or even better yet, hey, let's set up a link for you and you get it out to your friends and have them make a donation as well. I mean, I don't care how you do it. I just think it's, here we have a situation, 4 million people displaced. It's just way too many people to let starve to death. Not when it doesn't need to happen. I mean, we have a crate that is being loaded with food right now. Anybody that wants to make a donation, that food is going to go right into that bin, and it's going to go right directly to these people. And you are not sending it off. I mean, sometimes you send money to a foundation, and you don't know how much of it is actually going to be used for food. Here, you're actually buying food. People can't eat money; they need to have food right now.
That's
so
awesome.
This is it.
That's awesome. Now, a couple things. First of all, you said if somebody has a website, they can set this link up on their website as well?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's all. How would they go about doing that?
Well, it would be just a matter of calling that number for the team and just say, hey, look, I want that link too. And the team member will set them up real quick and they'll have a link.
Oh, that is super. All right. Now, I just clicked on level 2. So I'm going to spend $61.40 right now. Purchase now. Now, this is going to go to my qualifying, my QV or BV.
Right, exactly. I mean, if you're a longevity distributor, this is probably outside of what the regular listeners do, but you need to qualify your business in order for it to work. And this does take care of your qualifications.
Oh, that's awesome. There's 2 ways you can participate here. If you're not part of longevity, just by purchasing level 2 or level 3, you'll become a preferred customer. You'll become a member of the Brightside Ben phone team just by contributing here.
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly how you're going to.
That's so cool. And then on top of that, if you're already a longevity distributor, you're already, say, a member of the Brightside Ben team, then this will go towards your qualifying.
Exactly. And the easiest way for a distributor to do it is just to go right in their back office, take a look at the, Be the Change, I believe it is, the link in the back office for the products. Boom, you get the same shopping cart. It pops up to you. You buy the stuff. It all contributes to your own business. And it's deductible too because it's a 501c3. So
that is so cool, Ted. So you can actually get a tax deduction on top of getting your qualifying, on top of helping your business, all of that,
and on top of feeding people.
On top of helping people out. Wow, that is so cool. So for $61.40, you could feed a family of 4 for 1 week. For $176.50 for 2 to 3 weeks. You could feed a family of 4 with good food. That is so cool. Thank you so much, Ted. Hey, before we let you go, how's your dad doing? I know we talk about him periodically, about the BTT, and now he was on and off of it. Give us a quick update.
Well, he's on it now. Mom does it because the doctor's saying he needs electrolytes. So that was the key right there. It's no longer BTT, it's electrolytes, and he's on it and he's doing well. As a matter of fact, Ben, he hasn't had to be. He was going into the hospital every 4 days by ambulance because his electrolytes would drop, and they'd give him an IV and they'd pump him back up and they'd release him and
go back.
And this went on between last November through last February. He went on to BTT, hasn't been into the hospital since. So there you go.
That is so cool. BTT 2.0 or the regular one? What's
I give him both so he doesn't have to have the same thing all the time.
That's an awesome story. Thank you so much, Ted, and thanks for sharing that. And really, thank you for doing that as well. That is so cool. So once again, you can go over to my website, brightsideben.com. There's a link on the upper right-hand corner, Help Now. If you click on that, you'll get several options. Whichever one you pick, if you're a member of the Brightside Ben team or a longevity distributor, this will go to your qualifying points. If not, you will become a member simply by contributing. That's correct. Is that correct, Ted? Did I say that right?
Correct. That is correct.
Awesome. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it very much. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, not a problem.
Have a great day. All right, I really encourage you guys to do this. I just purchased $61.40. You know what? I'm going to switch this over to level 3. I'm going to do $176.50, and that goes to my qualifying points. If you guys are already participating in the longevity business, if you're not, you will automatically become a member of the Brightside Ben team simply by contributing to this Philippines fund with Go Foods, which I haven't tried yet, but I did spend the day with Dr. Wallach a couple of weeks ago, and we talked about Go Foods, and apparently this stuff tastes real good. And looking at it right now on longevity shopping cart, things like vegetable beef stew and cheddar broccoli soup. This is amazing survival food, folks. Stews, soups, whey protein or whey milk. I wonder what that is. Whey good milk is what it's called. I got to look into that. I don't know what that is. Granola. There's all kinds of good stuff here, and that's you can find out all about it at brightsideben.com. There is a help now link on the upper right hand corner of the page on brightsideben.com. All right, so let's see. I want to finish talking about glycation and albumin, just a couple more things, and talk about a couple more effects of albumin. And then we're going to talk about plant albumin. For you vegetarians out there, you don't have to worry about not getting albumin protein, because if you're not eating eggs or you're not eating dairy products, you can still get your albumin from plants and veggies. We'll talk about that tomorrow. We come back, we're taking your phone calls at 855-660-4261. I'm Pharmacist Ben. We'll be back after this. Okay, on our next Bright Side episode, we'll continue talking about glycation of the very important blood protein albumin. We'll talk about elevated blood sugar, and then for you vegetarians, we'll talk about ways that you can get albumin and support your albumin system without having to eat carnivorous substances, without having to eat eggs or dairy either, just by eating vegetables. Especially one particular vegetable or one particular plant material that is especially high in albumin. We'll tell you what that is on our next Bright Side episode. Time to hit our phones. We do have a couple lines open for you at 855-660-4261. Let us welcome my good friend from Oregon, Carl the Truth Raider. What is up, buddy? Welcome to the Bright Side.
Good morning, Ben. Thanks for having me on the show.
Sure. Thanks for calling. What's going on?
You bet. Well, I'm in a little bit in mourning. My $500 Gateway notebook had a stroke.
Oh, I'm so sorry. How old was she? Couple years
old.
3 years, and it had a stroke?
Tender age, yeah.
What are you doing to your computer? That's a bummer, man.
Working morning, noon, and night doing research, brother.
Is she gone? Is the computer gone, or you can fix it?
No, what I'm gonna first do is I'm gonna, of course, have to take it apart and get all the gold out of it, and then give it a proper burial.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I wish I could tell you to use some Beyond Tangy Tangerine or something, but that's not going to make much of a difference for your old gateway.
I just don't think it can absorb the nutrients.
No. But how can we help you personally? Because I don't know anything about computers, but I could probably tell you something, a thing or two about you.
Right. Well, I'm glad I had the presence of mind of buying a backup Toshiba, so I'm able to get your show, because we don't have you on the radio here in our area.
Where in Oregon are you?
Well, just outside of Portland.
Okay.
In the suburbs of Portland, but apparently some of the mass media networks here don't carry the GCN programming.
That's too bad. I love Portland. I'd love to be on out there. In fact, if I was on in Portland, I'd probably come out there a lot more, because, man, that's next to Boulder. Portland and Seattle are my two favorite cities, I have to say. I just love the Northwest. But I got a bunch of folks on hold here. How can we help you, Truth Raider? What's cooking?
Yes, okay. Well, we had a little bit of a tragedy that occurred a couple of months ago, and I want to find out about proper mental chemical balance. He was, for all intents and purposes, the gentleman, which was the supervisor of the other work that I do. I'm a part-time tennis referee. I referee tennis tournaments and tennis matches.
Nice.
And just all of a sudden, he panicked. He had some things going on privately in his life. He panicked, and he committed suicide.
Okay, that's a bummer. So what's going on? You want to talk generally about mental health kind of things?
Yeah.
Let me give you a couple good. Oh, well, that's a tough line, tough line to cross there. We talk obviously on this program so much about physical well-being, and I'm always, I don't say this as often as I should, but I'm going to say it now, and I probably should say it more often, and that is that when we have a physical health crisis, it is preceded by a spiritual, mental, and emotional crisis typically. That is, there's usually lurking behind physical illnesses, you will find mental and emotional and spiritual crises as well. And these are what I call the four dimensions of health, or the four dimensions of disease, if you will, or lack of health, and that is spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, in that order. Now, I don't mean to go off and proselytize here, but I got to tell you, spiritual crisis will ultimately show up as physical crisis, and lurking behind most physical diseases is some kind of lack of connection with higher power, higher purpose, whatever you want to call it. I'm not being denominational here. Some kind of sense of spirituality. Then there's the mental and emotional component, and they're kind of similar, almost like two sides of the same coin. The emotions are how the thoughts show up, and the thoughts are how feelings show up, and they're sort of interacted. But every time we think a thought, every time we feel a feeling, it gets changed, it creates a biochemical change in the body, a hormonal change in the body. Every single thought, people, that means, and every single feeling. And if you want to break it down and make it much simpler, crappy feelings, crappy thoughts lead to crappy hormones, lead to crappy bodies. Good feelings, good thoughts, positive feelings, positive thoughts, healing feelings, healing thoughts, happy feelings, happy thoughts lead to positive hormonal changes, which show up as positive changes in the body. So these are extremely important dimensions of the health process that we don't address as often as we should. And when you have a mental health crisis, it's hard to avoid noticing this connection. So I don't want to present that, oh, you just take B vitamins, or as important as they are, oh, you just take fatty acids as important as they are, oh, you just take 5-HTP or just take magnesium, and it's going to help you with your depression or it's going to help you with your mental health crisis. They're all important, but you got to focus on the spiritual, mental, and emotional aspects of these kinds of diseases, and of all degenerative diseases, and nothing expresses this more than the manifestation of depression and sadness, and ultimately, tragically, as you described, suicide. So you got to practice good thoughts, practice good feelings. You can sit down in a chair and think good thoughts. Take a good thought supplement, a happy thought supplement, a spiritual thought supplement, a good feeling supplement. Think about your pet. Think about your child. Think about something positive in your life. Just sitting on the couch thinking and feeling good thoughts can be as powerful, create as powerful biochemical changes as any nutritional supplement you could take. So that is critical, and it's especially critical if you're dealing with a mental health crisis. Now, that's not to diminish or marginalize the importance of nutrition for mental and emotional health issues. So once you've taken care of your mental and emotional needs using positive feelings, positive thoughts, once you've reconnected, religged, if you will, in the Greek, that's where we get the word religion, religged, reconnected with spirituality, then you can start working with nutrition. And there's wonderful, wonderful ways to use nutrition and nutritional supplementation for mental health. The first thing I would tell you, the number one thing to do is, believe it or not, is focus on gut bacteria. Gut bacteria, when they become out of balance, and this follows drinking chlorinated water, eating antibiotic-laden food, drinking antibiotic-rich water, taking antibiotics, chlorine, fluorine, and fluoride in water, etc. All of these things can conspire to kill off good bacteria. Excess bad bacteria produce toxins. These toxins get into the blood, and then once they're in the blood, they can affect the brain. And this can cause problems like depression and sadness and lethargy and fatigue and all the things we consider to be mental health issues. They can all be secondary to dysbiosis, problems with bacteria in the gut. I know people who take their probiotic supplements, and one of the first things they notice is a change in their mood. And this is understandable when you understand the mechanism of how bacteria can affect chemical changes in the blood, which ultimately will go into the brain. So good probiotic supplement, number one. Fermented foods, number two. Eliminating toxic foods that cause allergic reactions, food additives, that's another strategy. And then there are a second important strategy is stabilizing the blood sugar. When the blood sugar goes up and down, this can have a negative effect on mood. Hang tight, Carl. We'll finish this when we come back from our break. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side on the Genesis Communication Network. We'll be back at you with more good health information right after this. Don't go away.
The GCN Radio Network, providing the world with hard-hitting talk radio. GCN. Great talk radio starts here.
I got to go fast here, buddy. The lines are completely full, and I don't want to leave anybody on hold again here. So, number one, probiotic. This is for as it regards mental health, emotional health, keeping things balanced, and keeping in mind it's SMEP, spiritual, mental, emotional, and then physical. All right. Number one, probiotics, good bacteria. Stay away from food additives. Excitotoxins can be especially problematic. You want to keep blood sugar stable as possible. Hypoglycemia can trigger the release of stress hormones, and that can throw off mood faster than any other biochemical changes. You want to stay away from excessive cortisol secretion, stress hormone secretion, and keeping your blood sugar stable is one of the best ways to do that. More protein, less refined carbohydrates, breads, pastas, all the foods we beat up on here, potatoes and rice and refined dessert products, snack products, that kind of stuff. And then blood stabilizing nutrients like magnesium are very helpful. Essential fatty acids are very helpful. And probably the premier brain health nutrients that everybody needs are the B complex. B for brain. We will spend a lot of time talking about the B complex here sometime in the next few weeks because they are super, super important. And in my humble opinion, I think that much of our health crisis, our degenerative disease health crisis, is based on the fact that the B vitamins are singularly deficient in the American diet. That's because the B complex are the vitamins of life, and as soon as a plant is picked out of the ground or as soon as an animal is killed, the B vitamins are the first nutrients that vaporize, that disappear. And the more processed foods we eat, and that includes processing like just picking a plant out of the ground counts as a type of processing, and we're all eating these kinds of foods, and we're all subsisting on these kinds of foods. The odds are very good that for most of us we're dealing with B complex deficiency, and there's many, many ways that this can show up. On top of that, because they're water soluble, you urinate them out. If you're not constantly replacing these B complex vitamins, it's very easy to run into mental health and emotional health issues, among other health issues. This is why the Beyond Tangy Tangerine is such an important product, you guys. Even if you're not supplementing, even if you're not taking any other supplements, the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, because it is liquid, because it's loaded with the B complex, and because you can sip on this stuff all day long, it allows you to replace these B vitamins, these B complex vitamins, throughout the day as you're losing them. It's like giving yourself an IV drip of the B complex, and that's why I talk about this BTT, the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day, every day on the bright side. It's $50 a canister. It's one of the best investments you can make for overall health, but especially for mental and emotional health. And I hope I helped you, Truth Raider. I know we went really fast on that. Call me back if you have any other questions, okay, buddy? And best of luck with your new computer, too, Carl. Thank you. Thank you for calling. I hope we got Carl. I hope I didn't just talk to nobody there. Is Carl there?
Yes, I'm here. And I'll also send out a food pack to the Philippines.
Thank you, Carl. God bless you, man. Thanks, bro. Okay, take care, man. Christy in Texas, welcome to the bright side. What's up?
Hi.
Hi. How you doing?
I am doing great. I have a question about my dad. He is 68.
Okay.
And about 5 years ago, he was diagnosed with tardive dyskinesia.
Tardive dyskinesia. Was he on a psychotropic? Was he on
he was on Abilify.
Okay, there you go. So you got tardive.
The way they treated it is they doubled the dose of the medicine.
Dude, let me tell you, tardive dyskinesia is one of the most distressing of all the side effect diseases that you could ever have. For the listeners, tardive dyskinesia is a classic toxic reaction or adverse reaction associated with brain meds. With what they call psychotropic drugs, Haldol, Stelazine, Mellaril, Thioridazine. There's a whole bunch of them. Drugs that they give you when you're having psychotic episodes, or unfortunately these days, drugs that will give you just if you're depressed, like Abilify. Tardive dyskinesia is the body being just pissed off. It's a body that's ticked off that you're taking these drugs, and it responds by causing movement disorders, tics and twitches, and this is what tardive dyskinesia is. Dys means dysfunction, like breakdown. Kinesia means movement. Tardive means degenerative. It's a degenerative movement disorder, tardive dyskinesia. And it basically only occurs after you take these kinds of drugs. So for them to double his drugs to reduce did it help, by the way, the tardive dyskinesia?
It helped his movements,
yeah. But now he's all drugged out.
He's
zonked out.
Now on a drug called Xanazine.
Xanadine?
Xanazine. Xanazine.
I don't know. That might be.
It's made for Huntington's disease. It's made in.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's believe it or not, that's a kind of antihistamine. It's called a phenothiazine antihistamine kind of drug, and it's used to treat weird movements. Huntington's chorea is a weird movement disease. It's a movement disorder. Chorea as in choreography, as in dance, and tragically, Huntington's chorea gets its name because it looks like people are dancing. They're not dancing. They can't control their movements. So listen, here's what you do. Number one, he he doesn't need the darn Abilify. You know, I don't want to tell him what to do or what not to do with his medication, but he doesn't need the Abilify. Was he depressed? Is that the problem? They put him on the
Yes, he was.
Well,
he was. He's
there's
off of Abilify, but they
Good.
still have him on a low dose.
Well, he
Because
doesn't
one of the
need
side
it. It's not.
effects
He doesn't need it. It's only poisoning his body and breaking it down. This is why I do the program, you guys. I am a registered pharmacist, okay? And I probably won't be for very long if anybody from the State Board of Pharmacy hears this program, but I can't help it. I got to tell you the truth. There is no such thing as a good prescription drug. The body hates them, and it responds with things like tardive dyskinesia and movement disorders. So if this was my dad or my granddad or somebody I knew, I'd tell him, get off the darn drugs and start to work with nutrients that help with movement. And there's many, many, many of them. The B vitamins are probably the first thing to think about. Get your dad on the Beyond Tangy Tangerine Toot Sweet now, stat, immediatamente, right this moment. Hang up the phone, call your longevity rep, or click on the shopping cart at brightsideben.com and get your dad on the B complex right away. Get him on the essential fatty acids as well, omega-3 fatty acids, very important for movement and for muscle control. Also magnesium. Get him on the Osteomag, very important as well. In fact, the whole Mighty 90 would be beneficial for your dad. Keep him off of sugar and refined flour products. Those will throw off movement disorders as well. And the best way to do that is to get him onto a good protein supplement. More whey protein, more protein from egg. If he's eating meat or fish, more meat and fish protein, even dairy protein as long as it's raw dairy. You don't want the pasteurized kind. And wean him off of the sugars and the foods that spike his blood sugar. You know the drill. Using nutrients that stabilize blood sugar might be advisable. Also, I like the sweeties from Longevity, chromium and vanadium. The amino acids taurine and arginine might be helpful as well. Off the drugs, on a good nutritional supplement program that features the B complex, like things like the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, stabilize the blood sugar, and of course, if he has any digestive health issues, those need to be addressed as well. And I got to move on, Christy, but thank you so much for your call, and God bless it. God bless you. I hope everything works out with you and your dad. All right, Steve in Virginia, what is going on? Welcome to the Bright Side.
Hello. Excuse me.
Hey,
yes,
Steve.
hello. We have some friends, and the wife has some problems. She has, the husband said she has the high blood pressure and something, diabetes, and then something to do with the higher pressure in the lungs. I'm not quite sure what that's referring to, but...
Okay, so how can I help you? What are you looking at, some nutritional supplements?
Just to try to see what we
What was the first thing you said? You said blood pressure, hypertension?
Yes.
All right, number one, here's a couple ideas for you. This guy's just breaking down. It doesn't matter what's happening. He's basically, his body's falling apart. All of these are signs of the classic manifestation of overall degeneration, including the blood sugar problems and the hypertension. I did talk yesterday, and I told the folks that the number one, in fact, the only reason the body degenerates is because the body's stress response system, the emergency response system, is called the sympathetic nervous system, is in chronic long-term overdrive. There's two great nervous systems in the body. You have the nervous system of thriving and relaxation, and you got the nervous system of surviving and stress. And when you have issues with hypertension, issues with blood pressure, elevated blood pressure, issues with blood sugar, overall degeneration, what you are looking at 100% of the time, and you could tell this to your doctor, 100% of the time, you are looking at long-term chronic activation of the sympathetic stress nervous system. That means we got to figure out how to quiet that survival nervous system down, activate the parasympathetic relaxation nervous system, and there's many ways to do it. The best way is get on a nutritional supplement program like the one designed by Doc Wallach and all the folks at Longevity. There's so much more to talk about with that. I don't want to rush through this, Steve. Can you call back tomorrow, buddy? Because this is a very important question. I hope you can call back.
Yeah, we call back tomorrow.
Call back tomorrow. We'll take you first up. Brian in Texas, apologize for leaving you on there. If you call back tomorrow, we'll get you first. We'll get you right after Steve. If you call back tomorrow, and I apologize. Hate leaving you guys on hold, but that's just how it is. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. Thank you so much for joining us today. Click on the Join the Team link on brightsideben.com, or click on the Help Now link if you want to contribute some food to the Philippines and help me in my mission to educate the world about the importance and power of a good nutritional supplement program. We'll talk to y'all later, folks. Bye for now.